Hard work always pays off, and kindness never dies. This is the story of a dove, an ant, and the beautiful truth that what you give always finds its way back to you. The morning sun rose gently over a quiet forest. Golden rays danced upon the rippling water of a sparkling river. Birds sang softly, and the wind carried the sweet scent of flowers. Among the branches of a tall peepal tree sat a white dove, graceful and calm, her feathers glowing in the sunlight. Every morning, she flew to the riverbank to drink water and to watch the world awaken. One such morning, she noticed something unusual: a tiny black ant struggling desperately near the edge of the river. The poor creature had slipped from a leaf and fallen into the water. The current was strong, and the ant was fighting for its life. The dove's heart filled with pity. She knew how weak and small the ant was compared to the mighty river. "Hold on, little one," she cooed softly. Quickly, she plucked a large leaf from a branch and dropped it near the drowning ant. The leaf floated gently beside it, and with great effort, the ant climbed onto it. The river carried the leaf to the shore, and the ant crawled safely onto dry land, trembling but alive. From that day, the ant never forgot the dove's kindness. He looked up at the tree where she lived and whispered, "I will never forget you. One day I'll return your favor." The dove smiled kindly, unaware that the small creature would ever have the power to help her. Days passed. The ant returned to his colony, a busy underground city where hundreds of ants worked tirelessly every day. From dawn till dusk, they collected food, built tunnels, and prepared for the rainy season. The ant worked harder than anyone, but deep inside he carried something special. A heart full of gratitude. He often told his fellow ants, "Never forget kindness. One act of goodness can change a life, maybe even save one," but others laughed. "You're just a tiny ant," one said. "You can't change the world." The ant simply smiled and replied, "Maybe I can't change the world, but I can change someone's world." One afternoon, the dove was resting on the same tree near the river. The sun was blazing and everything looked still and sleepy. Suddenly, a man approached silently through the bushes. He was a hunter holding a bow and arrow. He looked up, spotted the dove, and whispered, "What a beautiful bird. She'll make a perfect catch." He took aim, quietly, slowly, carefully. The dove was unaware. She was enjoying the cool breeze, eyes half closed, peaceful and free. Just then, at the base of the same tree, the ant was searching for food. He noticed the hunter's movement, the glint of his arrow, the tension in his arm. In a flash, the ant realized what was about to happen. "The dove! She's in danger!" he gasped. Without wasting a second, he began to climb the hunter's foot. It was a long climb, rough and slow, but he didn't stop. He thought of the day the dove had saved him from the river. He thought of her kindness, her voice, her gentle eyes. And he said to himself, "I won't let her kindness die today." He reached the hunter's bare ankle and bit hard. The hunter cried out in pain and missed his shot. The arrow flew past the dove, striking the tree trunk instead. Startled, the dove flew away, high into the sky, free once again. Later that evening, the dove returned quietly and found the little ant sitting under the tree. She landed beside him and said softly, "You saved my life today." The ant smiled. "You once saved mine. I only returned what you gave me, kindness." The dove bowed her head in gratitude. Tears shimmered in her eyes. She said, "Sometimes the smallest heart carries the greatest courage." The two became friends for life, different in size but equal in spirit. Days turned into weeks, and the story of the dove and the ant spread across the forest. The parrots spoke of it in the mornings. The rabbits told it to their children at night. Even the old trees whispered it to the wind. Kindness never goes unrewarded. What you give will one day return, multiplied. The dove continued to live with peace and dignity, and the ant became a symbol of courage and gratitude among his kind. Years passed, seasons changed. The dove grew older and her wings were no longer as strong as before. She sometimes struggled to fly, but her heart remained light. The ant too grew slower but wiser. He had seen droughts, floods, and storms, yet he never stopped working. He often reminded the younger ants, hard work and goodness are never wasted. Even if the world forgets, life remembers. One year, the forest faced a terrible drought. The river dried up and the trees began to wither. Food became scarce. The dove could no longer find seeds to eat, and many birds began to migrate elsewhere. The ant colony too was struggling. Their stored food was almost gone, but the ant remembered the dove, weak and hungry, still sitting by the dried river. He gathered his fellow ants and said, "We must help her. She once saved me, and we are stronger together." So the ants carried small grains of food, bit by bit, and left them under the dove's tree. Every day, the dove found just enough to survive. She looked down and smiled through her tears. Once again, kindness had come full circle. When the rains finally returned, the forest came back to life. Flowers bloomed, rivers filled, and laughter returned to the trees. The dove, now old and wise, watched the ants rebuilding their home. She said, "You never give up, do you?" The ant replied, "Because hard work is our prayer and gratitude is our faith." The dove nodded and said, "Then your reward will always follow you." And indeed, from that day on, both the dove and the ants lived peacefully. Symbols of two timeless truths: kindness never dies, and hard work always brings reward. Moral of the story: no act of kindness is ever wasted. Even the smallest creature can make a difference. Hard work, gratitude, and compassion always find their way back, sometimes when you least expect it. When you help others with a pure heart, life helps you in return, because what you send out into the world always comes back to you.